The Theudrcast is not affiliated and does not represent any 12-step fellowship. I, Bill Ward, the host of the Theudrcast, will be sharing my experience and my journey of recovery. That does include, but is not limited to, the literature contained in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 Steps. Our guests will be sharing their own path to recovery and what has worked for them. The Theudrcast encourages and supports all paths to recovery. Welcome everybody to the Theudrcast. UDR stands for Uncover, Discover, and Recover. My name is Bill Ward, and I'm coming to you from the recovery capital of Canada, Calgary, Alberta. Here we are going to discuss everything recovery, different perspectives, different experiences, both with the people I know and with others from around the world. If you resonate with anything you've heard on this episode today, we ask that you share it with anyone who you think may benefit from it. If you have any questions or comments, please find us at Billwardlife and send us a message in the info section. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. If you are interested in more recovery content, you can find the buttons for the YouTube channel and other social media outlets on the homepage, and you will be redirected to those platforms. We can recover, one person, one family, one community at a time. Because the steps are the solution to the new life, right? There's a line in the step 4 and the 12 and 12. It's one of my favorites. You know, a lot of times we really talk about the drinking here, which is important. But the book was pretty clear that drinking is the symptom. You know, when we put the bottle away, you know, we're still left with this illness. And it's a spiritual malady that can manifest into various ways, which is what it says in the step 4 in the big book. You know, and we consider its common manifestations in that first round of steps in the big book. Common manifestations of self, which is at the root of our troubles. Resentments, fears, sex conduct. I like to say relationship conduct because it actually reveals all the patterns of the deep-rootedness of the selfish self-centeredness that I actually need to work on, that actually drives me to pick up a drink and drug, which is the spiritual malady that drives that. You know, in that step 4 in the 12 and 12, that line I was talking about, it's character defects representing instincts gone astray has been the primary cause of our destructive drinking and failure at life. Unless he is now willing to work hard at the elimination of the worst of these defects, both sobriety and peace of mind will still elude him. So it's really clear on actually what's causing my failure at life. It's my character defects that are representing the deep down instincts gone astray. And unless I am now willing to work hard at the elimination, look at those things, both sobriety and peace of mind will elude me. Okay, well, first of all, I see a lot of people not staying sober because they're not willing to do that work. Then I see a lot of people in the program really miserable or not vital, like living their best life because they're not willing to do that work. That all the faulty foundation of his life will have to be torn out and built upon a new bedrock. The faulty foundation of my life is built on self. Selfish self-centeredness is what my life is built on. And when I do the steps, and I do my first set of steps, I get to see the common manifestations of the foundation of my life that's actually failing me. And I need to build it on a new bedrock. The bedrock is God. And in the big book, it talks about this cornerstone. Upon the simple cornerstone of a willingness to believe in God, I can build this wonderfully effective spiritual structure. But if I just have the ideal of God, just the concept of God, the book also tells me that that's not enough. The concept of God is not enough. That's why it talks about that cornerstone and the keystone, because the keystone mixed with the cornerstone is so important, because the keystone is where I turn it over to God and it becomes no more of a concept. So in that step 3 where that keystone is talked about, it said upon, you know, this concept was the new and triumphant arch which we pass through to freedom, the keystone. And if I pass through the freedom from the bondage of self by relinquishing my selfish self-centeredness, then I find the freedom. And that's really where it all lies, right? And I think it's really important for the rooms, in my opinion, and I come from Calgary. I like to call it recovery capital of Canada because it's fucking booming there, right? And we're really focused on the big book. We're really focused on the step work. We're really focused on dissecting what the literature actually is saying and what it is, and through the exact precise directions. In that forward to the first edition, Bill writes, we have written this book describing precisely how we have recovered. And then in the original manuscript, it said, if you want what we have and you're willing to follow directions. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our directions. And in step 10, and they left that part in the fourth edition, if you have followed directions carefully, you will have felt the flow of his spirit into you. To some extent, you'll become God conscious. You have begun to develop this vital sixth sense. And that is relinquishment of self. Following those directions of relieving me of the bondage of self. Why? So I can be of maximum service to God and our fellows. You know, I know tradition 5 says the group carries the message to the alcoholic who's still suffering. But in the step 5, when I do a step 5, it's like I am clearing the channel so I can go help other people as an alcoholic and carry the message. But my real purpose as a human being on earth is to be of maximum service to God and my fellows. Not just alcoholics. So I can be the big book. So I can be that principal walking around out there. And so people can see that and go, fuck, how did you do that? And I don't have to tell them how I did it. But if they really want to know, I can show them how I did it. And I will show people that are non-alcoholics how I did it. And the book says that this program has its benefits for all. So I'm really about carrying the message of God and about the steps and about how we do this. What am I clearing this channel for? I'm not clearing it so I can just go get happy. None of the prayers say so I can go be happy. It says so I can be of maximum service. So I may better do thy will and show other people how to do this. And I think that's really, really important. So the steps are really important, and I'm really shocked that out of probably the 15 meetings I've been out here, not one of them had a step as a topic. And I think Bill W. would turn over in his grave if he knew that, right? You know, but at least we're doing a tradition here, and that third tradition is really important too. But that third tradition will not keep you sober. You know, if you have a desire to stop drinking, good on you, but that's it. You know, there's 2 fellowships in Alcoholics Anonymous. There's the fellowship of tradition 3, and it describes this on the first page of There's a Solution. But that in itself is not good enough to keep us fucking joined as we are now joined. We have to have another fellowship, and it's the fellowship of God. And you surely will find this in the fellowship of the Spirit. You know, you may find some of us, it says, in this fellowship. And that's the fellowship that I think Bill W. really wants us to tie into. But it's a hard fellowship to find, right? Because there's so much crap to clean out of the way. And to be of service to other people and not so much of ourselves. And I'll finish with this. One of my favorite lines in the literature, it comes out of Bill's story. It says, never am I to pray for myself except how my request bore on my usefulness to others. Then, only then, it says, may I expect to receive. And that would be in great measure. And what does that mean? It means I get fulfilled from the inside and I can give it to the outside. And when you work for God and the people start working for you. And then we have this community, right? This common unity of goodwill towards all men and women. So if you're new or you're struggling, you're coming back, you got a problem with drugs or alcohol or life, there's a solution in the steps, and not the steps on the wall, the steps in the big book. The big book steps are so clear and thorough if you're willing to look at it and find somebody that knows what the directions are. Because there's a lot of theory in this program. And the theory does not get people sober. Gives them hope, but the hope needs to be fulfilled with the action and showing people where the directions are. Because the directions are really, really important, I've found. And I've sponsored a lot of men in this program. Thank you for tuning in to the Theudrcast. We hope you have enjoyed this episode. The viewpoints and the opinions expressed today were solely of the individual sharing them. If you resonated with this episode, please follow us and share this link with anyone that may benefit from it. Please visit us at Billwardlife to see everything that we have going on. We can recover, one person, one family, one community at a time.